The Scarlet Rot. What noble metal is that, and what does it have to do with physical chemistry? Hi, I'm Jenny Azoth, and I'm about to finally conclude this self-inflicted curse I cast on myself with the help of Wormguy. Welcome to the last of my series of Elden Ring chemical physics videos, where I discuss potentially significant alchemical influences and a few of their implications. My first video was about the worm guys being trees, and the next two were about colors red and blue and how they relate to gold and silver, respectively. Last up is green/red. So, what metal is it? I bet you're dying to. It's copper. It's just copper. You have to know it was copper, right? We all saw this one coming. Whew. Okay. So, what's up with the regalia of Eocade and its contrast with Ordovis's greatsword, huh? Try this out for Zez. Treasured Sword of Eocade, a lesser long-vanished domain. The copper coloration is not to be confused for rust, but is a conduit for its wielder to move it by their will alone. Swords of Eocade dance through the skies. Great Sword of Ordovis, one of the two honored as foremost among the Crucible Knights. This sword is imbued with an ancient holy essence. Its red tint exemplifies the nature of primordial gold, said to be close in nature to life itself. We can see most of our answers already with these two items' descriptions. It honestly feels like cheating just pointing it out like this, but there you have it. Ancient holy essence, not to be confused for rust, serving as a conduit for its wielder to move it by will alone. Will, separate from mind or spirit, instead providing holy damage rather than magic. Will, in this case, in the form of expenditure of the green stamina bar, rather than of the red of health or the blue of MP. Red, emergent from green. So we can understand copper, which alloys with gold to give it a reddish hue even when macro scale, as contrasted with nanoscale gold, which needs no help turning neither red nor green. If gold is the essence of life itself, and silver the essence of mind and its many reflections of life, copper can then be said to be the willpower or endurance of that life, its temerity or tenacity. In this way, it shares kinship with the crucible, criticality or the fragility of being that allows will alone to reshape or reform from raw slag. So too does copper naturally alloy with raw gold ore during refinement, often fading into the gold entirely. In alchemy, copper corresponds with Venus, renowned for the passionate willpower she could inspire in others. So what does copper actually do, then, when alloyed with gold? Well, here's something it can do that gold can't. Corrode. From the Verdigris set. Made from an unusual metal known as verdigris. Verdigris is said to be the gift of an outer god, possessed of an enormously hefty yet supple strength, thanks to its rusted nature. Note the use of the word supple. Copper, again, is linked with movement and willpower. That which is supple moves as you will it. It's also worthy of note that this armor has particularly high robustness, which resists frost and bleed, blue and red, but did not especially resist poison, sleep, or rot. This outer god can only truly be said to exist in contrast, like comparing red gold to yellow gold for the purity of carat. Also worthy of note is the fact that brass and bronze are both formed from copper, one of which resembles gold and the other of which is harder and more silvery, and both of which are more durable than their more precious counterparts. It's like copper can take the place of either gold or silver, can produce either health or magic, all from the same wellspring of stamina potential. One last connection to the Scarlet Rot. Millicent herself, said to contain Millennia's very willpower. The dignity, the sense of self that allowed her to resist the call of the Scarlet Rot, the pride she abandoned to meet Radahn's measure. There is a reason she needs unalloyed gold in order to regain her consciousness. Unalloyed gold, indeed, that could drive off even an outer god's influence. The Scarlet Rot eats away at one's willpower and claims it as its own. So too does copper rust while alloyed with gold in order to paradoxically corrode away, leaving nothing where one of the world's densest metals once stood. The two are in tension with each other, like acid and base, both formed from the same components yet functioning in completely antithetical ways. So it is that Millennia's rune was meant to be the most sacred of all, resembling the crucible's criticality as it does, yet its influence reduces affinity with the golden red flask used to recover HP. Interestingly, and as the last note of all, this rune has one specific function: to turn stamina into recovered HP, to turn green stamina, willpower, directly back into health, fortitude. And so it is that a corrosive outer god, a flower, yearns for a place to call home, having already found itself in fallow soil depleted of golden splendor. So too does it find itself one, a sweetly rotting bed to lie upon. I should note, while I did come up with this entirely on my own, I also did my due diligence to look around for some lore and see if people have already come up with this one. And someone has actually already come to this conclusion, the same conclusion that I have. Wouldn't you know it? Verdigris is a naturally occurring protective layer on metals such as copper, brass, and bronze, and is basically copper oxide. So if you've ever had aluminum siding, you know that the aluminum is going to oxidize in the weather, and it's going to form that oxide layer, and then it's going to stop reacting. It's going to stop rusting. That's basically what happens with verdigris, where it forms that first corroded layer, and then it stops. However, when luster, when reflectiveness, when the ability to carry light is everything that a god is, that's basically how you kill a god, is you turn it matte. So, who knew? The secret to killing gods was alloying them the whole time. Oh god. That means the Dung Eater was right, doesn't it? Thank you to everyone who donated to my GoFundMe or Ko-Fi. You can find those links in the description. And thank you for watching. I don't really have too much to say here. There's really not a whole lot to say about willpower. It just kind of is, right? So, I don't really have the wherewithal to finish this video. I'm running out of copper. How about you just imagine the rest of it creatively, while I show you footage of... You like a little bit of science? Yeah? I got a little bit of science. Just stick around, and I've got a synthesis of gold and silver nanoparticles. It's not copper, but it will turn red, very pleasingly. So stay tuned for that.